It was really cool. Obviously, it's been a long time since I'd seen it, and it's built its own life, so to speak. Like there wasn't a soul. You could tell if there was a Vegas fan in the stands because he stuck out like a sore thumb. But no, it's cool. It's everybody's into it, and just the only good thing is we don't have to wear white suits.
Some great stuff from Scott Arniel, the associate coach of the Winnipeg Jets. This is Ground Control, the official podcast of the Winnipeg Jets. It's getting a lot brighter in here as we welcome you in for another edition of this podcast, watching or listening. Welcome back to Tyler Esquivel, who was very busy last week on a tremendous road trip for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yep.
Let's get this out of the way. What have you got going on
this
here?
is, obviously the playoffs are upon us.
Yes.
We've got one regular season game at the time of this taping, and we've got the whiteout hoodie, the Winnipeg Whiteouts. Get it down at Jetskier or TrueNorthShop.com. Obviously, you want to show your support of the Winnipeg Jets. If you got tickets to one of the games coming up, we don't know when those games are. No spoilers. And you could go to the street party. You could do it at home. You could do it at work, school, wherever you are. Rep the white. Go Jets, go. Yeah,
one thing we do know is that the Jets will host games 1 and 2 of their playoff series with the Colorado Avalanche. They clinched home ice, winning 4-3 over the Seattle Kraken. That was on Tuesday night. We're taping this on Wednesday, so the Jets getting it done. A big difference from last year when you think about it, because the second to last game of the season, they had to win just to get into the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah.
This time around, it's win to clinch second place in the division. You have to feel a lot better about where the Jets are at this time of year now as opposed to last year.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, they took care of business a lot earlier this year in terms of just getting into the Stanley Cup playoffs. But really, when you think about it, there was still something to play for in that second last game. And you could tell, I think the Winnipeg Jets were like, okay, let's just get this over with. Let's do what we need to do to win this game. And I think, obviously, they did that. And then, obviously a bit of an interesting scenario heading into Thursday's game against the Vancouver Canucks. That game doesn't mean anything for them in the standings. Obviously, if the Winnipeg Jets want to win, finish the season on an 8-game heater, would finish them, I believe, 4th in league standings, which is absolutely wild to think that a team that finishes 4th in the league is going to finish 2nd in their division. So that just speaks to the quality of hockey that is played here in the Central Division.
Yeah, I think you would even say, we could argue all day long about if it's the best division in hockey, which obviously it is to us, and we see the teams that
I
come
think at the
through a lot
beginning
more.
of the year you would probably say it was the Pacific, but I think as things plotted along, the consistency that was being displayed, and then with Nashville's reemergence in the second half, Central Division, nothing to scoff at.
And great preparation for the Stanley Cup playoffs is what the Jets had in that last road trip. So the big part here is they get the job done, and I asked Kyle Connor last night how nice it was to get it out of the way before Thursday.
Yeah, nice to get out of the way in this game. I thought we stuck with it, ups and downs of the game. No matter what, we stuck up for each other, support each other when we didn't make the plays that we needed to, and, just a kind of gritty win there to pull it out.
Every game's not going to be perfect, and it's just the way things work. We hear this all the time. The other team gets paid too. There's a lot of quality teams in the National Hockey League. So you look at Tuesday night. Jets play fantastic in the first period, then a little hiccup in the second. So I think a lot of people saw the momentum that they built up. Great performance in Dallas.
Yep.
Dominant performance in Denver. So you think that's going to carry over here. So you get these little reminders every once in a while. And I'll use the second period in Nashville and the second period at Canada Life Center yesterday about what happens when they don't play to structure.
Right.
So the best part of it is, Tyler, and I remember a lot of times last year, what's going on, what's wrong with this team.
Yeah.
A lot of guys were scratching their head looking for answers. The answers are there, and I think that is comforting if you're a Jets fan, and certainly with the organization, that right away they know what has to be fixed.
Yeah.
Do you not agree?
Yeah, I would agree. Let's look at this in a bigger picture perspective. You talk about the second period against Nashville, and you talk about a second period against Seattle.
Yeah.
Over what? A 10-game stretch?
For sure.
As far as I'm concerned, 2 periods out of 10 games worth. What is that? 3 times 10? That's 30 periods, Jamie.
Yeah.
You're upset with 2 of them and probably little bits of others.
Yeah.
I think that's okay. But like you said, when mistakes do happen, they know how to address those. And, you look at last night against Seattle, a lot of them were self-inflicted wounds. And if you're a Jets fan and you're watching that, you're like, okay, it's not a structural deficiency in terms of why we would be having problems here in Winnipeg. No, it's something that the Jets are doing to themselves, shooting themselves in the foot. And like you said, their team gets paid too. They're good. They're going to put the puck in the back of the net. That 2-on-0 goal was, like whatever. You can't expect Kelly to stop that. And stuff happens in games. That's the other thing. Like as we head into the
puck's
playoffs,
going to hop over your stick. Yes.
Puck's going to hop over your stick. We're heading into the playoffs. This sounds ridiculous, but you are not going to win all 16 games. And sometimes it's going to take 4 games, so you might sweep a series. But the next one, obviously, we saw that a few years ago. It didn't happen for the Jets in the second round. You're going to win, 4 out of 5. You're going to win 4 out of 6, maybe 4 out of 7. So there's going to be some hardship in there, but that only makes you stronger. So just everybody take a deep breath, relax. If things don't go the Jets' way right off the hop, it's okay.
Yeah.
Look at what happened last year.
Totally.
So everybody just be excited, but take it down a notch. They're here for a reason.
I think sometimes you can allow yourself to enjoy what's going on.
Totally.
I think a lot of Jets fans have a hard time with that. They have a hard time not so much believing, but just allowing themselves to, wow, this team's pretty good.
Yeah.
That just recognizing the fact that what this team has accomplished since the 6-game losing streak. You roll off 7 straight and you play as well as you did in Dallas and Denver. I think you're just looking like that's how good this team can be when they go to structure. And I think so the adjustment. So going further into what happened against Seattle, the adjustments were made immediately going into the third period.
Yeah, they were.
So they locked it down a lot more. There wasn't so much feeding into Seattle's transition. So that's the sign of a good team when you can. And that even so, the Nashville game you win in overtime, but if you lose that one, they played tremendous in Dallas. So there's quick adjustments.
One of the best games of the year. That's
what playoff hockey is about. You have a tough game, but you're able to bounce back 2 nights later in the next game after that.
I think too with the playoff hockey mindset, that first goal is so important in the playoffs. And we've seen this year over year. If you're the team that gets the puck in the net first, well, you can not sit back, but you rely on that structure, and the Winnipeg Jets have one of the best defensive structures in the league. So if you can have that ability to lock it down, and now I get that the Colorado game, it was 4-0, after the first period, and for all intents and purposes.
But we've been in that building before, and the Jets have been up like 3-0 after the first period, and bad things have happened afterwards.
Yeah, for sure. I think teams were a little different at
much
that
different
point in time. But the Dallas game is kind of that example for me where they got that first goal and they just kept snuffing everything out. Every time Dallas had a rush, good back checks, good tracks, gaps were right. So our forwards are making great defensive plays on the rush. So I think, a lot of the time, you get caught up in, we're up 3-0 right now. But no, you got to lock it down. And they did that.
The Jets did to Dallas what Dallas had done to Winnipeg the 3 previous games.
Exactly.
Dallas scored first, and then it's exact reverse. It's just you have to push a little bit more to get the tying goal, or you think you do, instead of being as patient as you would be with a 1-0 lead, you get a little more impatient.
Yeah. But
the Jets have done a great job of stifling that. So going back to Tuesday night, here's Rick Bowness on puck management, and certainly Kyle Connor, how the Jets have adjusted on the fly to getting back to better puck management.
The second period was all just terrible puck management. It had nothing to do with structure. It was just puck management, all of it. So, but they recognize that too, right now. That we're feeding their transition. We're giving them opportunities. We let them get back in the game, just with our puck possession, our puck management. That's really the biggest issue we had in the second period.
Seeing what works when we're great. We're pressuring teams, we're skating. You can't do anything if your feet aren't moving out there, in the D zone. The first time you get the puck, you got to get those feet moving, those quick strides. And, it takes everybody being on the same page, all as a unit. If one guy's not doing their job, it slows everybody down. And, you see in our neutral zone when we press with 2 forwards in that forecheck, we turn a lot of pucks over and we get to play with the puck in their zone.
Okay, so a lot of the additions that the Jets have made, certainly at the trade deadline, certainly back in February, they brought in Sean Monahan. We're starting to see the fruits of that labor because the Jets' second line with Nikolai Ehlers, Sean Monahan, and Tyler Toffoli starting to catch on fire a little bit. Well, they're on fire.
It's kind of like
starting to.
It's almost like Rick Bowness knows what he's talking about.
It's funny.
Pre-game in Dallas, he says, we put these guys together, and obviously Toffoli got sick, and that kind of shifted things. But before that, they were scoring at a goal a game, and of course, in the first period in Dallas, goal. You know, obviously what happened in Colorado, goal, and then Nikolai Ehlers last night, goal, and plus the power play goal from Tyler Toffoli,
Yes.
which rolls us in
To the play of the week.
to the play of the week.
Big gains entry, far side, Pion. Near side again for Ehlers to the hash. Walks off the wall. Back door out in front, the backhand shot, they score! Tyler Toffoli! It's a power play goal! And Winnipeg has regained the lead. It's 4-3 for the Jets.
Hi, I'm Dylan Sandberg,
Sandberg shoots, he scores!
and this is the Ground Control Podcast.
Another thing that Rick Bowness did on Tuesday night was give some credit to his coaching staff. And I mean, it's been a long year for Rick. Of course, Judy had some health issues. Rick had a little hiccup as well. So who picks up the slack is the coaching staff, and Brad Lauer and company, Scott Arniel, going down the list, Wade Flaherty, Marty Johnston. A lot of people picking up things in the back scene. So of course we're going to have Scott Arniel here momentarily to talk about this year. And I think what happens when one coach leaves, he has other people have to pick up the slack of his responsibilities. So I think the Jets coaching staff as a whole has to be given a lot of credit for continuing the team down the right path while Rick was out.
Yeah, I think Rick has done a really good job of instilling, that culture that he wants to bring, and obviously his structure. You listen to Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin talk about Rick Bowness hockey. Well, I think Bones being there physically is obviously a good thing, but I think it speaks volumes when like he said, you can have your head coach leave and the team doesn't miss a beat and things still are remaining the same. So Rick Bowness has done a great job, as I said, instilling that culture, instilling that structure and that discipline that he wants the team to play with. And also you listen to what's been said over the last few days. And it's great to hear, because I don't think it's something we've totally heard a ton of over, especially my time here, is buying into playing the right way. And they're saying that right now, which is obviously the most important time of the year. So you can tell that players, it's clicking. It's like, oh, if I do X, Y, and Z, we're going to have some success. Or at least we're setting ourselves up for success. So
it's funny how when they listen to your coaches in some ways, like what the message that they've been trying to get through for now. It's 2 years, right?
The proof's in the pudding, though, right? Like if you're trying to do something and it's not working, the coach might see the indicators that say, yes, it's not working right now, but it will come. But if you're a player, I mean, perhaps in some ways, if you're not seeing the direct results, you're like, well, we can't do this. We got to do it my own way or whatever.
Which we all do in life.
Totally. It's a natural human element.
Yeah.
So, kudos to the coaching staff, as you said.
Well, on that note, let's hear from Scott Arniel in the sit down and the special feature here on Ground Control. Pleased to welcome to the podcast Scott Arniel, associate coach of the Winnipeg Jets. So I want to talk about two teams same time of year. Last year, second to last game, you clinch a playoff berth, beating the Minnesota Wild. This year, you clinch second spot and home ice advantage. Name me the different feelings that you guys have last year compared to this one.
Yeah, last year we, especially the last 20 games, it was such a down kind of part of our season. We weren't playing real well. We were kind of scrambling to get in, and obviously we won a big game in Minnesota. But it was tough sledding. We weren't at our best after the All-Star break, after the trading deadline, and this year it's been a different story. We've been really good. I know we had a stretch where we lost a few games there in a row, but our consistency in the second half has been way better than what it was last year, and obviously finishing on a really good note here by having a big road trip out west and then coming home and clinching that second spot.
You talk about like adjusting, like the plan is in place for the players. They know what happens when they leave structure. So let's use this for example, the second period in Nashville, and then the way you guys played in Dallas and Denver. And then another example is the second period against Seattle, and then how you played in the third period. Is that noticeable as clearly as coaches, right? And has to make you feel good about things as you head to the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's been our DNA since the start of the year. We came in stressing heavily about our defending and our play without the puck, and we talked about buy-in, and it's hard because it's September and October. Mm-hmm. You're trying to get guys to think about the playoffs in December, and you look at it last night and what happened around the league and how much or how important 2 points may be in October or November or wherever it might be, and then it comes down to those type of games as we saw in the East. But we've been stressing so much about how to defending first, and all our offense comes from that. And the big thing that has happened for us is that to the players, it isn't us just being really good defensively and we're one of the lowest scoring teams 5-on-5. Our 5-on-5 scoring is up there, and that's the bonus side that the players realize that, hey, we can do that, but also get rewarded for it. And we've been preaching that from the start, and I think that those, what you just talked about, those examples of games where we fell away from our game and we got away from the structure, we got away from defending first, those games got out close to getting out of hand, and we end up finding our way to get back to it. And that's the reset, and then a lot of credit to the players. They know it. Now we don't have to. It's not like October, November where we're trying to grind them to remember, grind them to do the right things. They walk in the dressing room. They know that they had a bad period, and they know that they need to be better. And if they go back to defending first, usually the results get better for us.
What's the Jennings Trophy mean to a team overall? That seems to be the most team defensive one. Like Connor seems to be in the front runner for the Vezina. Yeah. That's almost an individual award, but it is a team award. But the Jennings is another one. What does that mean?
Yeah,
I'm knocking on wood as I say this. I don't want to throw anything off at all.
We're blaming it on you.
We talked about this on the road.
It's all on you now. But you know what? Our league is obviously generated about success offensively, team success, winning games, all that stuff. There's not a lot of stuff. I know even if you look at the Norris Trophy,
for sure,
where it used to be, a great defender and an offensive player, defenseman, and no disrespect to anybody that's won it, that is a more point producer type guy, but it's kind of leaned its way a little bit towards offense too.
Yeah.
And other than the best offensive forward award, there really isn't anything else. And so the team recognition one is that. And so it is something I don't think any team looks to go out and that's your sole mission is to try to accomplish and win the Jennings. But when you can be in the position where we are, where we're in the top, elite teams in the league, and we're also winning in that category, or we're right there in the fight with Florida for it, that's a great accomplishment and buy-in from our players, and that's what we've talked about again in September, October, November. That wasn't a goal to win the Jennings. That goal was to get our goals against down and get our goals for up, and I think we've accomplished that.
You love veteran players, every coach does, but it's all about, especially with the league the way it is today in the salary cap era, it's about your younger players. I want to talk to you about Logan Stanley and his development this year, and then another Dylan Sandberg that are paired together as of this moment. But let's start with Logan and where he's stepped up his game, and has a light switch gone on in your opinion?
Yeah, I think he's played some really good hockey for us. The thing about Logan is he missed all of last year. I know he came in and kind of the crazy COVID sort of thing, and never really got whether. And I was not here, so I don't know how much he played and what his scenario was and who he played with. But last year was kind of for us as a new staff coming in. He kind of obviously breaking his ankle twice there. It certainly was a tough scenario for him this year coming in. I know he wanted to play a bigger role, and at the end of the day, just felt that Sandberg had done a really good job last year of his maturity of stepping forward and playing the way he needed to play. And it just Stan kind of had to fall in the line. He's been a true professional all year. He's handled this unbelievable about not being in there every night. And, we'd often talked about you're going to get your opportunity, the chance come. It's up to you to make the most of it. And we talk about that a lot of players is that, once the opportunity is there, it's yours to keep. And that's yours to go out and make sure that you do everything possible to stay in the lineup. And Stan's done that. He's done a lot of good things for us. He's matured. He's he's showing confidence out there, whether he's out there against the other team's top lines, as we saw on the road trip there recently, or he's playing a big physical role that he needs to do. And so there's lots of things that he's grown from last year to this year, and over the course of this year as well.
Dylan Sandberg also on top of that had to spend some time in the press box because you guys had to get players in the game. How challenging is it as a coach where you're telling a player you're not doing anything wrong, but we got to take you have to come out tonight?
Yeah, and he understands that. He knows that we needed the part where we're building towards is going on a long run here in the Stanley Cup, and if you only have 6 defensemen and you have nobody else has gotten a chance to play, and or you're calling guys up and hoping, like look at just last year alone, we lost Mo there in the playoffs, and injuries happen. If you're going to go on a run, there's times where your players get hurt. You need people to move in, or maybe based on matchups, who the other team has. Maybe it's a physical team compared to a speed team, whatever the scenario might be. You're going to need your lineup, and we feel that the difference, another area for us from last year, this year, our depth. Not only with our defense, but with our forward is really good, and so we're hoping that we needed to get everybody in the lineup. We need to get everybody feeling that they're a part of the team, and that was kind of Sammy having to be kind of the guy on those nights to do it. But it just allowed the other guys to get in and get their reps and still feel part of the hockey team.
You got a lot of credit. I'm saying you. I'm talking Marty. I'm talking Brad. I'm talking Wade from Bones last night about, when he was out, you guys stepped in and the team ran just like he was there as well. How much credit do you give to the other guys in that situation? And how challenging? Because I know when Bones is out, you guys have to take up on extra roles, right? So how does that work out?
I mean, we had a little taste of it last year, so
Yes.
it wasn't like it was something we hadn't kind of been a part of. But like you said, Brad, Marty, and Flats. I mean, there was a little bit more of a role that had, more responsibilities you kind of had to throw out there. Like I said, we've done it before, and we just kind of, piled on and got our work done and kind of worked together as a cohesive group still. And got to get an awful lot of credit to our players. They took responsibility too. They didn't want to, let Bones down. Didn't want us to. We knew we were a good hockey team. Didn't want to take a step back and wanted to keep pushing forward. And those guys certainly played well, which certainly helped us an awful lot.
There are special moments in every season. I don't want to speak for you, but we see on video you at Madison Square Garden. Mark scores the hat trick that night, and it's 9 consecutive 20-goal seasons. That's a Winnipeg Jets record held by Dale Hawerchuk. How special was that moment for you to hand the puck to Mark with your connection to Ducky?
Yeah, that was neat when Brownie told me that one. Obviously, some of these stats, there's so many different ones that are going on all the time, each and every night. But when Brownie told me that one, that was special. And for Shaif, obviously, it's having Dale as a mentor, as a coach in junior, that was special to him as well. So for me to hand it over, that was a nice sort of ring to it. I got a text from Eric, his son, and he had saw what had happened, and so it's a special moment.
You coached with the 2014 Rangers team that went to the Stanley Cup Final, and I just looked at the stats. Not a single player on that roster averaged a point per game, but yet you played 25 playoff games. It's a long grind. How do you do that? Is that just that commitment to defense that got you guys to the Stanley Cup Final that year?
At the end of the day, you talk to the staff in Vegas, or you talk to even Florida playing against Vegas. And when you win Stanley Cups, you have to defend. I know when I went into Washington after they won the Cup, they had talked about how Ovi and, all these offensive guys, all these guys that were, score goals every night, and it was try to outscore the opposition, where they went to shutdown mode, where they went to play defense first, and Barry Trotz got them, they helped them win a Stanley Cup because that mindset was to defend first, and that's what it is in the playoffs. You can run and gun, try to run and gun, you can try to do all that, but at the end of the day, it gets tight. Everybody's blocking shots, everybody's getting in lanes, everybody's back checking, everybody's doing those things that maybe they don't do for the full 82 games, and in New York, we were the same way. We weren't one of the elite teams in the East at the time, but we were a good team. Obviously, had a great goaltender in Lundqvist. We went through 7-game series. I think it was Philly, 7-game series against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
The whole thing was, it was a grind all the way through, and every game was tight. And that's why we sort of stressed the importance of defense in September, October, November, December, is that because when you come to the playoffs, you can't just turn on defending. You just can't all of a sudden say, okay, let's play this way. And so it's something you have to build towards, and it's what we did in 14. And we just ran into a team in LA that had done the exact same thing. They had won all their series in 7. They had a very veteran group that had won before, and they knew how to kind of win. And they were a lot like us, and it really came down to 2 top-end goaltenders going at it.
How banged up is everybody at that point when the 2 Stanley Cup Final teams come to that point?
Yeah, everybody is. I think you don't ever find out about it until a couple of weeks after you start to hear, oh, this guy's getting surgery, that guy's getting surgery, this guy, we won't be on the golf course for a couple of weeks. But everybody has them, and I've had a chance to win some championships over my career.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, nothing hurts. Mm-hmm. Nothing hurts. No matter how much the pain may be, nothing hurts when you win a championship.
Does it hurt in July at that point, or August at some point? Does it kick in? Oh, yeah, that's what. That one.
No, when you turn 40.
Just for you, the whiteout. Lots of people talk about it. I heard Kevin Bieksa say the other day on Hockey Night in Canada about how Canadian teams have this pressure, and it's a little bit tougher when you start on home ice. Does that play a role in it? How hard is it to have that pressure in that first game? And
yeah, I think if you ever had a choice, unless you had a team that was just tearing through the league on the road.
Yeah.
Might be different, but we've been good in this building. This building is, especially with the whiteout, is extremely loud. It gives us where we feel an advantage, in that first game and those first 2 games that we can get out and get on top of them. Hopefully the crowd, even last year when we were down to Vegas, it was amazing how loud we were down 4-1 both games, and came storming back certainly in the overtime one, and it's I think something that's that extra man on the field for you, so to speak, and it is special. And sort of the history of the whiteout here is, I know the whole city and province gets so excited for it, and it's something to look forward to, and hopefully it lasts a long time.
When you stepped back into it last year, what was that like?
It was cool. It was really cool. Obviously, it's been a long time since I'd seen it, and it's built its own life, so to speak. Like, there wasn't a soul you could tell if there was a Vegas fan in the stands, because he stuck out like a sore thumb. But no, it's cool. It's everybody's into it, and just the only good thing is we don't have to wear white suits.
The glad garbage bag guy. Last one for you. Just the point of pride that when I talk to fans, Jets fans, is just like they're so proud that this is what they get noted for. Right? When they know when spring comes, people are going to start talking about Winnipeg in a positive light. Do you feel that same way?
Yeah, I think that's you hear often players talk about it. Whether they come in, they get traded here, or they're visiting players. They talk about playing in the whiteout. It's something rare. It's something different, and they recognize it. And I think that our fans, like I said, they're so proud of it, and they really jump into it both feet. And I think that's exciting. And for us, it's just something that you can kind of hang your hat on.
Appreciate the time, my friend. Good luck in the playoffs. Hopefully, we're talking about this in June.
All right, I'd love to. Thank you.
Many thanks to Scott Arniel. Reminder, this is the last version of Ground Control. We'll be doing Ground Control live for every game in the Stanley Cup playoffs, myself and Tyler Esquivel. In this moment, Tyler, I'd like to appreciate you for all the times you stepped in.
Thanks, man.
And joined us. I think I'm looking forward to next year and see what this goes into and how far we go. But, man, it's been a lot of fun having you on the pod.
Appreciate it. It's been good to, flex these muscles, scratch the itch of talking hockey.
Wear a ton of new clothing.
New clothes.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been looking great this season.
I'm pretty sure sales have gone up.
Oh, I would hope. I would hope. I was nominated for an award, and you weren't. That's the best part.
I was talking with Sarah about that. I'm the only guy on this podcast, person I should say, that hasn't been nominated. So what are we?
Where did you work as a kid?
Randy River.
Were you the employee? You were probably employee of the month at Randy River. Does Randy River even exist?
I don't think it does anymore. It was a men's clothing store.
I think those pants are from Randy River. That's how old those are. But in all honesty, it's been fun sitting here and doing this with you. And obviously, I'm sure maybe this summer before the draft and other stuff, maybe we'll spark
reconvene, because I was going to call this the season finale, but I thought we have a lot more ahead of us.
And I know I'm not on the playoff version of the podcast based on just work that's going to happen for me in other areas, but maybe I just get the link.
Yeah,
and maybe I just show up one day and just start messing stuff up. I'll have a new sweater on, and I'll just start.
Don't forget to buy this for Jets gear.
I'll just start messing.
Tyler Esquivel, award nominee.
I'll start interrupting. It'll be good. All the manners I was taught when I was young.
Really exciting with that. I'm looking forward to that. Also very excited about the Stanley Cup playoffs. Excited to bring this to you, and appreciate everybody for watching and listening as we go along here. Thank you so much. Ground Control out.